Okay, we're on camera, back on YouTube Live. This is the conclusion of my completely unscientific 4130 tubing welding testing. I just wanted to put an end to this, just to let you know what my thoughts were about this whole process and how much I enjoyed it. The whole genesis of this whole thing was that I am building a Bear Hawk aircraft, and I've got my fuselage set up in the jig over here. You can't see it, it's off camera. But I decided early on in the project that I was going to do all the welding. Although I've kind of dinked around with welding before, I never really had any experience at it, never had any professional training at it, you know, high school shop, whatever else. So I went ahead and went to my local community college, which has an excellent welding department. As a matter of fact, they do welding certifications there, and they have good instructors, excellent instructors. I went ahead and signed up for the class. Last semester I did gas welding. This semester I'm doing TIG class. As a matter of fact, my last one is tomorrow. And I thought it'd be fun that through the process I would take little pieces of 4130 tubing and make a joint and weld it and test it to failure, because they do have a tensile strength test machine there. So I went ahead and did that. And the whole reason for that is to, one, practice my welding as far as joints go, as far as used in aircraft, and also give me some confidence in my welding abilities to be able to weld this aircraft fuselage, because there's no substitute for doing that. If you have a community college in the area, I highly recommend that you go take some training. I've got the DVDs, okay, and I've got the books. I've got them all. It seems like I got every single DVD out there for welding something on aircraft, but there's no substitute for having somebody take the same torch and the same welding rod and using the same materials and come up with a different result, and them teaching you why they're doing what they're doing and how they're doing it. The DVDs are great, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of them out there and they're really useful as far as information goes, but there's no substitute for having somebody show you how to do it. So at the end, if you see this here, you can see that here's all the little joints that I made that I tested to failure. All of them, even the one that had the bad weld on it here, tore the tubing. Every single one of them did. And interestingly enough, the one that had the best penetration was the welding that I did with the TIG. That was the last one I did. And the one that tested the most was gas welded with ER70S6 rod, and this one failed at 7,550 pounds. And I don't know if that was due to the technique of pulling it apart, because this one here was done at a slower rate than these. This one was done extremely slowly, so I don't know if the material had a chance to normalize or whatever. Like I said, I'm not a metallurgist and I don't know anything about it, so, but that was just completely unscientific. Just an aside, interestingly enough, we took some, during the TIG class, we took some 2-inch mild steel strapping. I cut the ends off of the test piece. They were 6 inches on either side. And I took just some regular 12-2 household copper wire and welded these two together. Now that's not a butt weld. What it is that each one of these ends were just bead at a 45 and then set flat, and then a bead run on this side and then a bead run on this side, and then pulled to failure this way in tensile. Just using regular old copper wire, this thing failed at 11,000 pounds, if you can believe that. And this one here, this one was done with silicon bronze rod, same thing, the 2-inch strapping, 1/4 inch, and bead and welded again. But you can see here, the metal actually pulled away in some places from where the point file was filed on the V, and other places on there. And this one failed at 19,000 pounds. So that was really interesting to do that. The conclusion for all this, I got several, is, like I said already, get some professional instruction. It's worth it. It was, the tuition wasn't that bad. But the other thing is I was fortunate, or I'm blessed, very well blessed, with the ability to be able to buy good equipment. One thing I really do recommend is this Miko midget torch if you're going to be doing gas welding. TM Technologies sells it. These are the lightweight hoses that they have. I can't say enough about this torch. It's fantastic. It's light. It's like welding with a paintbrush. It is a fire breather as well. You can get some pretty large tips for this thing, and you can weld some pretty thick stuff. And thick by I'm talking like, you know, really thick way thicker than anything you're going to do in the aircraft. But it's so nice to be able to sneak in some tight places with this thing and to be able to use it with lightweight torch. The other one I have is I've got a Miller Dynasty 200 DX, and it's an inverter machine for a TIG. It was expensive, about the price of a used car to do it, but it's after using the equipment that I had at the community college, which is very nice equipment. They have, I mean, it's super high-end industrial type stuff that a hobbyist would probably never buy. But I was able to afford a Dynasty, and that was really well worth it to be able to have that kind of equipment to use. And everybody that works with tools knows that having quality tools puts that, at least helps you do quality work. Why I chose Miller over Lincoln, I just decided that was what I was going to do. Lincoln makes a great product. I think it's an Invertech 205. There's no reason why that wouldn't work as well, and there might be others that I'm forgetting as well, but I went ahead and bought the Miller, and I've been very happy with it. But like I said, I'm going to be doing the welding on my fuselage. Now I have the confidence and the training to be able to do it correctly. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make some pretty nice looking welds. They're going to be strong welds, I know that now, that just looking at this, that I can't even imagine that having something like this, having over 3 tons on this thing, this skinny little tiny tubing, and then failing at 3 tons. So, and there's a lot more structure involved in that aircraft than this. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the other thing is practice. And there's practice, and then there's practice, and then practice some more. I can't stress practice. Everybody says, oh, you got to practice your welding. You got to practice your welding. And going to the community college, let me tell you, it was a lot of practice, and a lot of practice. But it was good. So that's the conclusion. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it wasn't too boring for you. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.